I remember the day clearly. Soft winds brushed window panes, sunbeams cutting across our kitchen like golden secrets. We were celebrating 16 years together, though every fiber in me vibrated with something darker, unspoken. Daniel hummed Sinatra, twirling eggs in our cast iron skillet. His voice, once calming, now triggered revulsion. It began 2 winters prior. A sweater, cashmere, burgundy, too small, appeared in our laundry. Not mine. He laughed it off, said it belonged to his colleague's wife. I didn't push. I should have. That was the first lie. Then came the unfamiliar cologne. Not his usual cedarwood. This one smelled of wet roses, sweat, and guilt. Still, I watched in silence. A fool dressed in pearls, sipping betrayal like red wine at dusk. One evening, I received a Facebook message. No name, just a photo. Daniel. Smiling. Holding a child. His arm wrapped around a woman I'd never seen. The background? A home I'd never visited. My lungs forgot how to breathe. I clicked on the image. The woman's eyes sparkled, not unlike mine once had. The little boy had Daniel's dimples. Every detail screamed authenticity, unfiltered, raw, damning. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I became an actress. Meryl Streep couldn't have rivaled my performance. I laughed at his jokes, kissed him goodnight, wore lacy nightgowns, and played the devoted wife. He had no idea I knew. My best friend, Kaya, begged me to leave. 10 years, Elara. A whole damn decade. How can you share air with him? But I wasn't interested in escape. I wanted vengeance, artful, poetic deserve. I craved the burn of justice, not the cold emptiness of freedom. So I planned. Carefully, meticulously, with the same intensity a painter applies to their final masterpiece. He gave me clues. Slips in speech. Nights he vanished for, late meetings. I tracked him. GPS burner phone. I knew her name, Vivian. Their child, Aiden. His other life was just 23 minutes from ours, nestled in a different zip code, guarded by his other set of lies. He celebrated our anniversary annually. Roses. Jazz. A villa in Sonoma once. But this year, I offered him something different. I reserved a table at Elara, his favorite restaurant. I even wore the emerald dress he adored, the one that dipped scandalously low and clung like a second skin. He arrived on time. Slicked hair. Golden cufflinks. Our hands met across candlelight. I have a surprise for you, I whispered, stroking his wrist. His smile faltered just slightly. Guilt, I imagined, had begun to fray him at the edges. I reached into my clutch, retrieved a gift-wrapped box, and slid it toward him. Inside? A framed photo, the one from Facebook. He stared. Paled. Silence strangled the table. Elara, he began. Don't, I snapped, the word slicing the air. Don't ruin this moment with another lie. His jaw clenched. I was going to tell you. I laughed, a sound brittle and cold. 10 years, Daniel. A child. Another home. Was that your definition of love? Tears welled in his eyes. I despised them. I rose, smoothing the hem of my dress. We're not done. Not yet. There's still dessert. From the corner of the restaurant, Kaya appeared. Behind her? Vivian. And Aiden. Daniel stood, panic pouring from every pore. Elara, what are you doing? Vivian's gaze met mine. No hatred. Just understanding. I'd contacted her 2 weeks ago, shared my story, my pain. To my surprise, she wasn't angry at me. She was betrayed too. Played the same. We plotted together. Vivian pulled out documents, birth certificates, bank statements, proof of dual lives. She laid them gently on the table like sacred relic. Daniel stared, as if his sins had manifested into physical form. People whispered. Waiters gawked. The violinist missed a note. I leaned in, whispering into Daniel's ear. Happy anniversary, darling. Then I walked out. I didn't cry. That night, after exposing his double life at Elara, I didn't fall apart. I didn't drink wine, tear wedding photos, or scream into velvet cushions. I slipped out of my dress, showered in lavender soap, and stared into the mirror like I'd been reborn. It was the first night in years I slept deeply. Morning came, painting my apartment with warmth. Daniel didn't call. I figured he was busy picking up the pieces of his demolished narrative. Good. I wanted him to sit in the silence he created. I took the day off work, pulled a record from the shelf, Billie Holiday, scratchy and timeless, and danced barefoot across hardwood floors. Free. Untethered. But there was a hunger, sharp and new, lurking beneath the surface. Revenge may have fed me emotionally, but my body, lonely, neglected, craved something else entirely. I didn't want love. I wanted escape through skin. Enter Levi. Tall. Puerto Rican. Tattooed poetry along his arms, each line more seductive than the last. We met years ago at a gallery opening. He painted with his hands, raw, messy, unfiltered. At the time I was married. Committed. Boring. He flirted. I declined. But he'd always said, "If you ever get tired of living safe, find me." That day I found him. His studio smelled of turpentine, oranges, and lust. He opened the door wearing a sleeveless tee and nothing else. I stared at the inked lines disappearing beneath his waistband. "Elara?" he smirked, as if he'd been expecting this exact moment. "I need to forget," I murmured. "No need to explain," he replied. The next hour was a blur of heat, sweat, breathless whispers. Our mouths collided like crashing waves, desperate, furious, hungry. His hands roamed like he'd been blindfolded in darkness for too long, finally given light. I forgot everything: Daniel, lies, betrayal. There was only Levi. Flesh, touch, power. Later, lying tangled in his paint-streaked sheets, he traced a fingertip down my back. "Still married?" he asked softly. "Technically." "You leaving him?" "No," I answered without hesitation. "I'm not done yet." He chuckled, kissed my shoulder. "You always were the dangerous type." I spent the next few weeks rediscovering the parts of me Daniel buried. With Levi, I wasn't just a woman, I was divine fury wrapped in silk and sighs. But it wasn't love. It was something darker. Beautiful. Broken. Necessary. Daniel tried reaching out. Calls. Texts. Emails with subject lines like "please" and "you don't understand." I ignored him. Then, he came to the house. I heard the knock, 3 times, then silence. I opened the door, unbothered, barefoot, robe barely tied. He looked hollow. Cheeks sunken. Suit wrinkled. No wedding ring. "Elara," he rasped, eyes flicking over my exposed thigh, "please talk to me." I leaned on the doorframe. "Talk about what? Your secret wife? Your son? Or the fact that you still had the audacity to call me your soulmate?" "I never stopped loving you," he insisted. "Vivian was different. A mistake that got out of control. 10 years is a long time for a mistake. She meant nothing. And yet, she gave you a son." He flinched. "I need to fix this," he said, stepping forward. "Let me fix this." "You can't." I stopped him with one hand pressed against his chest. "And if you try, you'll regret it." His gaze lingered, hungry, desperate. Then, shamefully, stupidly, he kissed me. I froze. Then I kissed him back. It was cruel. Unforgivable. Hot. His mouth felt familiar and foreign all at once. Like dancing to a song I used to love before realizing the lyrics were lies. My robe slipped. His hands found my waist. I hated it. I craved it. Then I pulled away, breathless, disgusted with myself. "Don't ever come back here," I snapped, slamming the door. My hands shook. Why did I let him touch me? Was it unfinished business? Or was it the twisted need to reclaim something he tried to steal, my power? I ran to the bathroom, turned on the shower, and stood under cold water until my skin stopped remembering him. Levi called that night. "You okay?" he asked, voice low, tender. "No," I whispered. He arrived 20 minutes later, smelling of cloves and oil paint. Said nothing. Just held me. Made love like he wanted to erase ghosts from my bones. And for a moment it worked. We weren't exclusive. I didn't want boundaries. I wanted control. So I took lovers. Brief, passionate, meaningless. An architect with lips like poetry. A barista who knew exactly how to use his hand. A poet who whispered filth between stanzas. But Levi always remained the constant, my grounding storm. Daniel, meanwhile, spiraled. Vivian left him. Aiden stopped speaking to him. His job? Gone. His savings? Drained from supporting dual lives. Karma didn't knock. It broke his door down and left scorch marks behind. Still, he watched me. I'd catch him, outside my yoga studio, across from Kaya's apartment, seated in his car on my block. He didn't approach. Just watched. Hollow. Like a ghost who hadn't realized he was dead. I kept records. I took photos. I started building a legal case. But I wasn't ready to end the game yet. I had one more card to play. Our anniversary video. Each year, he made one. Compilations. Home clip. Us laughing, holding hands, dancing barefoot at midnight. It was his gift. I kept every single one. So I made a new version. I edited his old footage with clips of Vivian and Aiden. Spliced in screenshots of texts between us. Voice memos. A slow unraveling. Then I added footage of myself, post-betrayal. Kissing Levi. Laughing on a rooftop. Glowing. Then, I burned the video onto a USB. And mailed it to his parents. The silence after mailing the USB felt louder than war drums. 4 days I imagined the expressions Daniel's parents must have worn watching the film. His mother's pearl necklace trembling against her throat. His father's mouth dropping open as images danced across their television. Lies layered like an onion, peeled clean with surgical cruelty. I waited. The fallout came swift. Daniel's mother called. Left a voicemail. You broke him. I replayed her voice 5 times. Every word sounded like praise. Then I deleted it and poured myself a glass of wine. I didn't care about their judgment. They raised a man who mastered the art of deception. I simply became his mirror, showing him the ugliest parts of himself. One afternoon, Kaya texted, "You should come to the gallery. Something's here you need to see." Curious, I went. The lights were dim, wine glasses clinked softly, and people moved through the space like ghosts with opinions. The moment I stepped in, my eyes locked onto the centerpiece canvas, me. Nude. Eyes closed. Back arched, as if caught between pain and prayer. Painted in Levi's unmistakable style. Reckless, gorgeous, unashamed. The title? The Widow Who Refused to Die. People stared. Whispered. A woman leaned close and murmured, "She's haunting." I didn't flinch. Levi approached, hand gently grazing mine. "Too much." "It's perfect," I said. Later, we slipped into the gallery's backroom. His mouth met mine hungrily. Desperation swirled between us like oil and fire. My dress hit the floor. His jeans followed. We didn't speak, just moved like animals bound by instinct and rage. After, lying breathless on a worn leather couch, I asked, "Why paint me like that?" He lit a cigarette, exhaled smoke in slow spirals. "Because you're not a victim," he said. "You're the ending everyone's afraid of." I smiled. Closed my eyes. The next morning, I received an email from Vivian. Subject: Thought you should know. She'd sent a screenshot, Daniel's online search history. Apparently, he hadn't been watching porn, movies, or even the news. He was watching me. My social pages. Gallery reviews. Articles. He even joined forums about divorce, redemption, psychological manipulation. It would have been funny if it wasn't so terrifying. That same evening, I found a letter on my windshield. No return address. Just my name beautifully penned. Inside. Elara. You won. You exposed me. You ruined everything. I deserved it. But you never asked why. Maybe if you did, you'd see I never stopped choosing you. I just never knew how to stop needing her. One version of me was yours. The other? Hers. I'm tired now. You've taken everything, and still. I love you. Don't come looking. I don't want to be found. My breath hitched. It was too calm. Too final. The kind of note people leave before disappearing. Kaya begged me not to respond. It's a trap, she warned. He wants your guilt. Don't feed it. But my mind spiraled. What if he did something reckless? I hated him, but I didn't want his blood on my hands. So, against instinct, I went searching. His apartment was dark. Quiet. The door wasn't locked. Inside, chaos. Papers scattered, wine bottles emptied, frames broken. A single photo sat unshattered on the nightstand, me on our wedding day. I called his name. Silence. The bathroom door was ajar. Lights off. I pushed it gently. No blood. No body. Just an envelope, resting atop the closed toilet lid. Inside, court papers, divorce documents signed. A sticky note attached. Now you're free. He was gone. Not dead. Just vanished. The relief hit me like a migraine. I collapsed onto his couch, shaking, unsure whether I wanted to laugh or vomit. When I finally walked out, I left the wedding photo behind. He no longer haunted me. But freedom felt strange, like wearing someone else's skin. Back home, I showered again, tried scrubbing off what remained of him. It lingered like perfume from a long-dead lover. Levi called. I didn't answer. I needed space. The next weeks were quiet. I returned to work. Read books I once ignored. Picked up piano again. Slept deeply, dreamlessly. Sometimes I thought of Daniel, not with longing, but as you'd think of a ghost town. Distant, sad, historic. But something unexpected began growing between me and Levi. He stopped being just a rebellion. He became real. He cooked breakfast. We talked for hours, bare-skinned under linen sheet. He made me laugh, sincerely, without irony. One evening, he kissed my palm and asked, "You ever think about starting over?" The words clung to the air. "I think about never being someone's option again," I replied. He nodded. Didn't push. That's why I trusted him. One day, I passed by a bookstore and saw a poster in the window. Vivian's memoir, launching next month. Title? The Other Wife. I smirked. Guess I wasn't the only one who turned trauma into currency. We met for drinks that week. Vivian wore red lipstick and carried herself like someone who'd finally stopped apologizing. "You really mailed the video to his parents?" she asked, sipping wine. I raised an eyebrow. "Too far." She grinned. "Not far enough." We toasted to endings. We toasted to survival. And then we toasted to Aiden, who, despite the mess, was now growing up without lies for lullabies. Before we parted, she placed her hand on mine. "You think we'll ever really be okay?" "I think we already are." A year passed. 12 full moons since the night I torched Daniel's world in front of candlelight and creme brulee. The air around me felt different now, cleaner, lighter. People say time heals. I disagree. Time doesn't heal. Truth does. Levi and I drifted apart, not because we lacked passion, but because our fire was built from destruction. We survived the burn, but couldn't keep living inside the smolder. He moved to Lisbon to paint cliffs and old women with eyes like secret. He kissed me goodbye at the airport and whispered, "We were right for the moment we met, not forever." I cried in the cab home. Not for love lost, but for a version of myself I no longer recognized. The woman who waited for answers, tiptoed around betrayal, watered dead things. I didn't do that anymore. I moved cities. Rented a flat with arched windows and creaky wooden floors. Took up sculpting. Started writing under a pseudonym. My first piece? A short story titled, How to Bury a Husband Without a Shovel. It went viral. Kaya joked, "One day they'll make a movie about you." Angelina Jolie in heels, torching some cheater's Mercedes. Maybe. Maybe not. What mattered more was that I finally liked who I was alone. Then, one night, quiet, rain tapping the roof like Morse code, I received an email from an unknown address. No message body. Just a video attachment. I hesitated. then clicked. The screen flickered, then bloomed into Daniel's face. Older. Unshaved. Eyes dull but alert. A video confession. "If you're watching this, it means I couldn't tell you in person," he began. "I lied because I didn't know how to stop needing people to fill holes I refused to name. I loved you, Elara. That was never fake. But I also loved the feeling of being worshipped by someone else. Vivian gave me adoration. You gave me reality. I wasn't man enough to hold both. Aiden isn't just my son. He's the only good thing I've ever done, and I barely deserve him. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want to leave one truth behind, in case you still wonder. You were always enough. I wasn't." The screen went black. I didn't cry. But I sat in silence for hours. Not out of grief, just reckoning. A week later, I got a certified letter. Daniel had been found in a quiet village in Costa Rica. New name. Small house. No bank account. Just books, a bicycle, and a dog named Hollow. He died peacefully, heart failure. Alone. He left everything he had, which wasn't much, to Aiden and me. One painting. A portrait. Me. He'd painted it himself. I hadn't known he could. It was flawed, brushstrokes frantic, colors slightly wrong, but it was real. My eyes were closed. My mouth tilted into a sad smile. A crack down one cheek. Like pottery mended with gold. I hung it in my studio, facing the door. People asked, "Did you forgive him?" I didn't answer. Because forgiveness isn't always a thing you give. Sometimes it's just a door you stop trying to open. Vivian's book became a bestseller. Aiden turned 12. She asked if I'd meet him. I agreed. We met at a botanical garden. He had his father's eyes, but a different energy, softer, steadier. He offered me a flower he'd picked. "Mom says you're like a warrior," he said. "I'm just a woman who didn't stay silent," I replied. He thought about that. Nodded. Later, Vivian and I sat on a bench under a canopy of lavender. "He told Aiden stories about you," she said. "That you were fierce, brilliant, untouchable, funny. He spent so many years trying to tame me." We both laughed. She held out her hand. I took it. For the first time in forever, no one felt like the other woman. Weeks passed. Then months. I published my first full novel. It wasn't about Daniel. Not directly. It was about a woman who burned her past, kissed men with lies on their tongues, and rebuilt a life with ash under her nails. Critics called it devastatingly beautiful. Book clubs labeled it a guide for the broken-hearted with a machete in one hand and a martini in the other. I kept sculpting. Started teaching workshop. Sometimes I slept alone. Sometimes not. But I never needed anyone to complete me again. One morning, I opened my window, sunlight kissing my collarbone, and whispered, "I survived. Because I had. Not as a scorned wife. Not as a wounded lover. But as Elara, a woman who waited until her anniversary to strike and never missed."